Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar on the JUMP Trane Call for Innovation on Thermal Storage and Buildings as a Resource. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items just so you know how to participate in today's event. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the questions pane of your control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. And finally, we'll be sharing a recording of the presentation and also its PowerPoint file with everyone in attendance today, and you'll receive both in a separate email shortly after we wrap up. Now I'd like to introduce our three panelists. First is Melissa Lapsa. Melissa is the Building Envelope and Urban Systems Research Group leader at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and she has led the JUMP program since its inception in the spring of 2015. Also from ORNL is Brian Fricke. Brian is an R&D staff member in the Building Equipment Research Group with over 15 years of experience in the areas of commercial and industrial refrigeration. Brian will be on hand to help answer any questions you might have on the more technical aspects of this challenge. And rounding out our panel is David Maruna. He's a product manager with Trane Intelligent Systems, and he works with Trane engineering leaders to ideate, generate, develop, and launch climate and energy solutions for a global customer base. We'll now get things started with an overview of the JUMP program by Melissa, and she'll be followed by David's introduction to the current challenge. Melissa?
Great. Thank you, Tyler, and thanks everyone for joining this afternoon. And next slide, please. As Tyler mentioned, I'm going to give a quick overview of the JUMP program. It's been around for a couple of years now, so many of you may already be familiar with it. But if you're not, it's jump.ideascale.com is the URL, and what we're trying to do is bring ideas and resources together to help move innovative solutions to the market faster related to building technologies. And we want them to be energy efficient solutions that are cost effective for the marketplace. So we've teamed with a great list of industry partners, including Trane, to submit technical challenges on our website. And I'm going to walk you through the process, but essentially we keep them open on our website for a certain time frame, not too long, because we want to keep the questions fresh. We want to get all the ideas as soon as possible, but we do keep it up long enough so that we can hold a webinar and go through some of the technical details of the challenge. And then once we close it, we're going to have a panel of judges evaluate those ideas, and then we're going to select a winner. And our goal is to take that winning idea, help facilitate moving that idea into the marketplace that's cost effective and energy efficient. So basically, we're an online crowdsourcing hub with 1,400 registered users, and we encourage all of you to go on and, if you're not submitting idea, perhaps you want to comment on ideas that are out there. We have another call open right now as well, and so we encourage you to vote on ideas, submit comments, and then if you have an innovative idea to a current call, such as the Trane call, we encourage you to submit that idea online. Next slide, please. So this is the process, and we've covered a variety of technology areas in the building space over the last 2 years. But we do first launch the call, then we have this idea submission, and then we have the voting deadline and the judges that are announced, and then we're going to promote what we're doing to help move that winning idea to the marketplace that's cost effective and energy efficient for the marketplace. Next slide, please. So since 2015, we have had 13 industry partners on 15 different challenges, and the winning ideas have received cash awards up to $5,000 in addition to technical support from ORNL. And that technical support can be doing some measurement and verification. It can be just verbal technical support. It can be a whole variety of needs that are addressed through working with ORNL. In the past, we've also worked with other national laboratories in different building spaces, and so we're bringing the expertise that you need to move idea further to the marketplace with our great industry partners. So some of the highlights, and if you go out onto our website, jump.ideascale.com, there's a tab at the top where you can see all the past winners and what the winning idea was, and find out more about how this all works. But as an example of moving a winner further into that market deployment space, one of our winners was a small business called Flux Tech, and they really needed some more substantial laboratory support of their solution. And so they submitted a proposal to the DOE Small Business Voucher Program, and after they won the JUMP award and were awarded $120,000 of technical support. So that's a great success story. And then we have another one who submitted his idea to the Federal Energy Management Program, a JUMP winner, and he was awarded $50,000 to, again, it's doing the measurement and verification, that third-party analysis of the savings for his technology to help move that into the marketplace further. So we have quotes from different participants, and we're just super excited at the interest in our platform, and encourage all of you to take a look at it and submit some great ideas. We already have a few great ideas already on the website for this call that David is going to tell you more about in a few minutes. Next slide, please. Okay, so another winner is Benjamin Knob, and he won the A.O. Smith Challenge, and found it a very beneficial experience to be able to put his innovative ideas down to the website. But the challenge was around equipment, using a 50-gallon water heater to deliver an equivalent amount of hot water as one with a 65 or 80-gallon tank without increasing the storage temperature. And his winning idea used phase change material, and he has a background in home energy efficiency. He did win that $50,000 or the $5,000 cash award from A.O. Smith, but also received that technical support from ORNL. And he has a patent pending, which is really exciting, and he's nearly completed his initial prototype. Next slide, please. So a common question that we get about the JUMP platform is, how do I handle intellectual property? Everyone who registers on the website is required to agree to the terms and conditions of our website. They're also under the FAQs, frequently asked questions section of the website, but it explains the intellectual property question in more detail in those terms and conditions. But essentially, anyone who submits an idea, it's their idea. It's no one else's. However, of course, once you put it out on a website, a publicly available website, other people can see it. So, if you're worried about others, looking at that information, you should protect that intellectual property, protect that idea before you would submit it on the website. The only time there would be joint intellectual property is after the winner is announced. If there's co-design, co-build, and or co-development with ORNL or the industry partner, then there might be some joint intellectual property. Next slide, please. Okay, and further on that note, I will mention, this often comes up as well, how do I, if I'm not going to submit a patent application or protect my IP, but I still want to submit my idea, there's also an option that you can submit your idea privately on the website, and that way it's only coming to ORNL to look at, and of course the judging panel. However, it's then not going to benefit, of course, from the crowdsourcing platform where other people can comment or have questions or vote on your idea. But that option is available if you would like to use that. Okay, I'm pleased to now turn it over to David to talk about this really exciting call for innovation from Trane.
Thank you, Melissa. I joined Trane in October of last year, and I've been working on a task force which is sort of aiming to refine our enterprise strategy around thermal energy storage. Personally, I have a background in entrepreneurship, and I'm very happy to partner with ORNL and the JUMP Innovation Platform. Next slide, please. A little background about our company. At Ingersoll Rand, we strive to advance the quality of life for people by creating comfortable, sustainable, and efficient environments. We try to grow through customer-focused innovations that aim to improve the quality of life in our environment, including many that advance sustainable business practices. We believe that a building has a purpose, and beyond that, the building are people who are working, healing, learning, and innovating. We believe that every building has hidden potential, and we are trying to go beyond the building to transform the building into an asset for society. Through our work on sustainability, we strive to provide products and services that help customers reduce their energy use and greenhouse gas emissions, and therefore help minimize the effects of climate change. At the same time, we are working to reduce the energy footprint of our own operations. Today, before I describe the challenge, I'll speak briefly about the changing conditions of our electrical grid, and then we'll entertain some questions. Next slide, please. So there's an increasing shift in the way that the built environment is designed and constructed. And as buildings are designed for lower energy use, this typically results in a reduction in the sensible cooling loads around buildings. This is commonly due to more insulation, better glazing and shading, less air leakage, more efficient lighting, for example, daylighting, and a reduction in basic plug loads. Next slide, please. And I think we got behind, so let's go forward one more slide, please. So energy storage is not a new technology. It's actually one that's been proven out over many decades. The slide above shows a source of Bloomberg New Energy Finance. And it basically describes how the U.S. energy storage capacity in megawatts, excluding hydro, shows that energy storage is really poised for growth. Next slide, please. As I'm sure many of you are aware, energy storage is a very hot topic, especially in 21 states around the U.S. The behind-the-meter energy storage market is expected to grow from 15 to 50% by 2021 and represent over 2 gigawatts of power. Fossil fuel plant retirements are underway across the country. PJM Interconnection, for example, which formed the world's first continuing power pool way back in 1927, is now looking at retiring 7,560 megawatts of generation by 2020. And as all of this is happening in real time, states are looking for technologies and solutions which will deliver reduced greenhouse gas emissions, peak demand shaving, new generation, transmission, or distribution investment deferral, and improved grid reliability. Next slide, please. The above image from the California ISO shows the quote-unquote duck curve graph, as it's known in energy circles. And what this tells us is the gap between total load a utility serves and what that load looks like after wind and solar generation serves some of that load. The graphic interpretation of that scenario looks somewhat like a sitting duck. It represents an average day rather than a peak demand day. Next slide, please. With the large numbers of buildings in the U.S. alone, thermal energy storage represents a significant opportunity to provide more flexibility for the grid and reduce overall greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide. Next slide, please. For thermal energy storage to gain greater adoption, we must overcome some barriers that exist in the status quo. Today, thermal energy systems using chilled water or ice are generally very large tanks, which are not most often, could be partially buried, vaulted under a building, or hidden in high-rise parking decks. These systems retain a large footprint that is not part and parcel to the actual design of the building itself. So as we're thinking about ways to be innovative, if someone could find a way to change the large and somewhat cumbersome footprint that rules the status quo, then I think we could greatly increase the number of architects, building owners, and consulting engineers who would seek to adopt these environmentally friendly systems. And you can just see in the picture above, there's a sample example of a thermal energy storage tank at an Air Force installation. The large building in the lower left corner is actually part of the new central heating and cooling plant for the state capitol campus in downtown Sacramento, California. And then the one in the bottom right corner is interesting. That's a what's called a cool canvas area where Sierra College in California installed some tanks and then tried to make aesthetic improvements to help them blend into the natural environment. Next slide, please. So it's important to address why is Trane sponsoring this call for innovation? Well, we know that the global investment in research and development dwarfs anything that can be accomplished by our company alone. As a result, we know that ideas could change the game for our business are most likely to come from outside our company. And for us, building owners, the power grids, and our environment could greatly benefit if we can figure out a better solution for thermal energy storage. Next slide, please. So now we'll get into sort of the meat of the challenge. And basically what we want to try and do is develop new ways to heat and cool buildings using thermal storage. Specifically, how can we incorporate water or ice into a structure in a way that is simple, elegant, and complements other building components and assists in making the overall building system more efficient and less dependent on the electrical grid. Examples of innovative ideas could include storing ice within various building components, exploring new ways to use thermal energy storage as a battery for the building, new ideas around using stored water to provide energy to a system of smaller structures, or perhaps novel design which may better stack with other technologies such as microgrid battery systems. The solution should comply with the following design criteria. Next slide, please. Your innovation should focus on new construction or deep retrofit for a commercial application. You should seek to use cost-effective materials and designs which aim to meet a simple payback calculation of under 5 years. Your system design should provide maximum value to both the grid and the system owner by minimizing the build kilowatt hours and kilowatts while enabling the provision of demand response and other grid services. And of course, wherever possible, you should strive to use materials that are non-toxic, eco-friendly, and recyclable. Next slide, please. When you digest this challenge, please consider the built environment of which we spend approximately 90% of our lifetimes. How can we find a way to better deliver improvements to the footprint, aesthetics, energy consumption, and maintenance of a structure to help evolve the way we utilize the building as a resource for the people inside? Next slide, please. And perhaps, this is very important in today's world, when you ideate on this topic, please consider ways in which we collect and analyze data to optimize building performance. Next slide, please. This concludes my portion, and at this point, I'm happy to hand it back over to Melissa, who will wrap things up and open the floor for questions.
Great, thanks so much, David. Okay, so to summarize about the award for the winning idea, $5,000 sponsored by Trane, up to $20,000 in-kind technical support from ORNL, and you can see there's a variety of ways that can be provided. Then we're going to review based on what the winning idea is. We're going to talk about how we can help collectively as a team move that idea forward. There's also an opportunity to participate in the Clean Tech Open Accelerator program at a reduced cost or perhaps at no cost. So we've had one of our jump winners go over to that program as well, which has been a fantastic opportunity. So the challenge is posted on our website, and it will stay open until September 2nd. So you've got over a month to ideate on this, and of course you can email us questions along the way, but this webinar, as Tyler said, is being recorded, and a link will be sent to you for participating for reference as you're thinking about this challenge. And we hope that all of you will take a look at the website and submit your ideas online. Next slide, please. We have had a great collaboration with industry partners and other national labs in this effort and with DOE. And we are excited about how all of our winning ideas are moving forward, and hope that you all will take a look and spend some time submitting an idea on the website. Next slide, please. So with that, I will just leave you with our website for questions, our URL for the jump.ideascale.com, and my direct email address. If you'd like have any follow-up as well, you can either send it to the Buildings Crowdsourcing website, which goes to Tyler, who will then share it with the appropriate person, or you can send an email directly to me. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Tyler. Thanks for your attention today.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Tyler. Melissa, that does wrap up the presentation itself. So now we're going to begin answering some of the questions that you've submitted during this presentation. And as a reminder, you can still submit questions. You can just do the questions pane in your attendee control panel. Just sort through here. Are there papers you would suggest that individuals review to get a better understanding of the challenge? So I guess, Dave, this might be a question for you. It sounds like this person is looking for just a bit of additional context or resource that might help to make sense of or frame what you're asking.
I think one way to do it, and I've tried to remain brand agnostic during this presentation, but if you Google thermal ice storage and go to sort of there are 3 or 4 leading brands out there now, I'd say the best information is all accessible on their website.
Excellent. Thank you. Are you looking for a particular type of submitter? For example, are you looking for individuals or smaller businesses, or perhaps even larger businesses, or it's a pretty expansive net that you're throwing out there?
That's a great question. I would just go back to what I said about we know that there's more innovation happening outside of Trane and Ingersoll Rand than inside. So I'm open to any type of innovation, whether it's an individual, a small business, or a large business. This could, for example, lead to a technology that we want to invest in. This could lead to a company that might become a vendor for us, where we have vendors now and we sell thermal storage systems. Those vendors own their own IP, but they sell their products through us. So I think there are any number of ways where we could work together, and we look to get submissions from any type of person or entity.
And I'll just add on to that. Briefly. That was a great response. And again, under the terms and conditions, you'll find the details on eligibility, but it is open to anyone over the age of 18 who's a U.S. resident. And again, you can find more details on our website. But we have had a whole spectrum of from individuals, small businesses, students, submit ideas and win in jump challenges.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. And actually, I had another question which kind of ties into what you both just added, asking about what forms of support winners might expect. So, David, it sounds like from the Trane side of things, there are any number of potential scenarios or situations or forms of assistance and collaboration that are available depending on what comes through. And then, Melissa, I don't know if you'd like to add a bit as to what Oak Ridge, has provided in the past. I know you did highlight a few of our winners in the initial parts of the slide, but just as a refresher, maybe if you wanted to add something new, it might be helpful, just to give people a good idea of what all is possible.
Sure. And Brian, do you want to take that one as far as the technical support that we would provide to the winners based on what we've been doing for Jump?
Sure, I could, throw my 2 cents in there. It kind of depends on the scale of the project or the idea. We have done, for example, evaluating the performance of an idea in a controlled laboratory setting, for example. So, it might be that the individual doesn't have access to all the sophisticated lab facilities and instrumentation and measurement devices. So we can definitely provide support in that way. And then also we can provide just technical support, take advantage of our science-based knowledge here at the lab and provide technical assistance to move the idea along. And, I'm thinking, as we were sitting here talking and I'm looking at this thermal storage idea, it just occurred to me that, maybe the scale of that idea is larger, and it could be that ORNL could provide some support for a field study of a concept for this idea. So.
Yep. Excellent.
All right. So yes, again, it sounds like there's if you do have an idea, don't certainly constrain, what you think might be possible in terms of support. So there are any number of avenues, as we've all mentioned now, from Trane and from the lab, and all sorts of ways and means of making your idea kind of realize its potential collaboratively. So again, kind of related to that, there's a question about are there any restrictions on the type of ideas or submissions or the thoroughness of their development that you're looking for? I guess, David, so I know you mentioned ideation specifically, but is there sort of a range of submission types that you would accept, ranging from ideation and concepts up to something closer towards a fully schematized or proposed design?
I mean, my opinion, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is sort of a top of the funnel innovation challenge. So we are looking for the idea at this point. That doesn't mean it has to be fully developed. It could be semi-developed or more fully developed, but we really don't want to limit anyone's thinking or approach. And as we've talked about internally, the JUMP platform allows us to have sort of an interactive or iterative process. So if you have an idea that you think might fit but don't want to spend too much time on it, we can give you feedback, and I will over the next couple of weeks be going onto the site. And if there are submissions which don't fit the criteria that we outlined in today's webinar, then I will solicit comments and hope that we can refine those so that we can get more ideas to the table before we close the challenge.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I know we have. Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh no, I was just going to add on to that excellent response by David, and just say even after the call closes September 2nd, if the judging panel has questions or wants to find out a little bit more about the idea that's submitted through the website, we will reach out to you. Tyler will reach out to that submitter and get more try to get more details or answer the questions that the judges may have. So at this point, the idea is just to submit your concept, as David said, onto the website, and then David's team and we'll all be looking at it along the way and providing comments on the website, and even after it closes, if we have questions, we'll follow up with you.
Yeah, just to build on both what David and Melissa have said, we do often get questions from submitters asking how much information should they submit. Does it need to be pretty detailed and fleshed out, or can they just submit something more broad and general? A lot of times these concerns stem from they don't want to give away too much, especially publicly, but they do want to give enough so that people can see their idea and evaluate it, and might want to investigate further. So in those situations, we've always advised just put enough so that we can have an idea of your idea and maybe where you're going and what it might lead to and what it might need. But by no means do we ask that you give anything that might compromise that idea. Or for example, there's also, as Melissa mentioned, the option to, if you wish, submit an idea privately. And in that case, only site moderators and managers, so basically people from Oak Ridge and Trane in this instance, will be able to see your submissions. And then, like Melissa said, if we do, let's say you submit an idea, just kind of a concept to test the waters, and David or myself or Melissa or Brian happens to be going through these ideas and kind of digging deeper on if they do have a question, or if they wanted to maybe prompt some additional supplemental materials, anything like that. Absolutely, I'll reach out to you, where they will do so, and then we can have those discussions, and then that will conclude ultimately with the judging process, in which we'll kind of do the same thing but on a more systematic scale. So just to sum up what everyone said, related to this question directly, feel free to submit any idea, regardless of what type of submitter you are, be you a small business or an individual, or even maybe a larger size company. Any type of idea, from a ideation type concept to something more concrete. And then don't by any means feel compelled to share everything. Just put enough so that we have a pretty good idea of where you're going, and then we can always reach back out and ask for further clarification. So So looking through the list of questions here, I think we've just about hit all of them. But again, if you do have questions after this presentation, you can send them to any of the email addresses that you currently see on the slide in front of you, and we'll of course be sending out an email following this with both the recording and an invitation for you to reply, again, should you have any follow-up questions. But it looks like, sorry. Yeah, so I think that that just about wraps up. As I mentioned, just look for that follow-up email. And then on behalf of ORNL, Trane, and the JUMP program, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And we hope that the rest of your day is a great one. Thank you.